Right. Well, hi, everybody. It's Megan.
Hello, I'm Keith.
And we've been teasing that we were going to do this call for like a month, and we kept forgetting.
Yeah.
So
we were just going to leave everybody hanging and be like, yeah, someday we'll do it, when the series is over.
Someday we'll do it. And because all we kept saying was we had feelings. So you guys finally get to find out our feelings.
We have feelings. We're not going to share them with anybody. We're going to keep them locked up here.
Yeah, we're not sharing. But we are going to talk about Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. And we're going to talk a little bit about the book and the movie and the TV series. And we just had a lot of thoughts. So we thought other people might have them, and they probably wanted to hear our opinions.
So Megan, tell me, have you read the entire Shadow and Bone series, or have you read the first book?
I've only read the first one. I've only read Shadow and Bone.
So Megan is you're exactly where you should be with the series.
Yes.
I have read all of the books, including the Six of Crows ones.
Okay.
So I kind of know where they're heading, but I'm gonna not give spoilers.
Okay.
But so now we have 2 points of view, like Shadow and Bone virgin sort of, and I don't know the opposite.
What's their fandom name? Did they have the Grishaverse, right? It's the Grishaverse. Yeah, you're the Grishaverse expert of the two of us.
Well, I wouldn't say that, but and so the Shadow and Bone series I read a lot more recently than I read Six of Crows. Six of Crows was one of the first series I read when I got back into reading. So
okay, and I just
probably 5 years.
Yeah, and I just read Shadow and Bone because we were doing it for a buddy read.
Yes.
In July. So it's still fairly fresh to me. So that was helpful, I think. Or detrimental, because I was like, what's happening?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
First off, and I think I don't know if you realize this or not. First off, okay, so the series, first off, they mashed 2 book series. So if anybody's only read Shadow and Bone series and they're like, who the heck are these other dudes?
That was me.
That's why, because they mashed that and Six of Crows together.
Right.
And I will say, and I don't think I'm saying anything out of turn when I say that of the 2 series, I'm fairly certain that Six of Crows is the way more popular series amongst almost everybody.
I have heard that from more than one person that they like Six of Crows a lot.
But I kind of think it's probably because I think Shadow and Bone was probably Leigh Bardugo's first book into the fantasy world. And I think she's even said in a couple of interviews that because she was a young writer, there were things that she would have done differently. And I think she did them in this series.
Oh.
She was able to make some changes.
Yeah, because I think I even texted you when I started watching it. I was like, who are these people?
Yeah.
Because I was like, I don't understand. And I love them. I love the Six of Crows characters, but it was very jarring having only ever read Shadow and Bone to be like, did I have a brain lapse? I don't remember these people at all.
Well, and I'll tell you what, it's also a little jarring because if you are familiar with Six of Crows, this series kind of started before Six of Crows, the book started. Now it's funny. My husband just recently read Six of Crows for the first time. So he was actually able to school me a little bit on some stuff.
Okay.
But so none of what's happened in this series really happens in the books, except the Nina and Matthias stuff happen. They talk about it. They talk about in the books what happened.
Yeah.
But you never really see it as it's going. So all of that was really
on the ship,
cool.
Right? She's the one on the ship. Yes. Okay.
So they just kind of talk about how they met. But Six of Crows starts he's in prison right now because they think he tried to sell her into slavery.
Right.
Six of Crows begins with her trying to break him out of prison.
So it's almost like they took a prequel to Six of Crows that doesn't exist.
Exactly.
Threw it into Shadow and Bone.
except like for Nina and Matthias, they talk about that kind of stuff. Like they just kind of reminisce and are like, oh yeah, remember like when I was on the slave ship and you tried to capture me and stuff like,
Yeah.
but it doesn't actually happen. They just kind of talk about it. So you know it happened.
Okay.
But this was really cool, at least for me, because first off, I'm gonna just admit that they're like my one true pairing. Like I love them.
I
Nina
do
and
like them
Matthias more than
together.
anybody.
I really like them together as well.
Like I love them so much. So it was awesome to see
Yes.
them interacting. But the rest of it, as far as I know, like none of that happened. Like when Six of Crows it's called Six of Crows, by the way, because there are six of them. And in this, there
There's
are
only
like
three.
three and there's one. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's really confusing.
Yeah.
But
it never really occurred to me to think that there was only three of them. So like that's kind of interesting. Because the bar is called something Crow, right? Like
yeah.
the bar, whatever he owns, right?
Yeah.
Or the
Yeah,
net.
everything he had, like everything he does is kind of like around crows and stuff.
And and we're talking about Kaz, right? That's his name, Kaz.
Yes, Kaz.
Yeah, Kaz and Jasper and
Inej.
Yes, yeah.
And there's another one that they haven't even brought on that I read that they're bringing on in the second series. So
okay. I like
they like very quickly, like Jesper at one point says, we really need a demolitions expert.
Oh, okay.
And they do bring on a demolitions expert.
Gotcha.
But I was confused too, because like all that conductor stuff, while very interesting and riveting, I was like, ooh, what? So there is no like they never meet Alina in the books. It's just like another world.
Yeah, I would say I feel like they're separate. Like they're not in the same.
Yeah, because they're like, and oh, the map is so amazing. So if you get a chance, like Pinterest all that crap, because the maps are really cool. But like see, yes. So like they're on the other side of the fold, pretty much. And they stay on that other side of the fold.
So they don't come across the fold to where Alina is. Okay. Well, and then I feel like the fold was different than I thought it was. I don't know what I thought it was, but I felt like it was more water, than it was in the show. Like it didn't feel like, because I guess I was thinking sailboat, like they were on boats, but they weren't really.
I wondered that too, and I wasn't sure if I just messed that up or what, because I really thought water as well.
Yeah, and I feel like because they talk about, like, now I'm looking at the map to see because they have like, I remember thinking like, why are they not in like water? Like I always just assumed the sailboat was, okay, where's the fold on this map? It says the unsea. That's not the fold though.
Right, no.
No, the fold's not on this map. I don't know how the fold's not on this map.
I mean, I know they have maybe it's because, I mean, they had docks. And when you have docks, I just assume boat, like, and it was a boat, so I just assume water. Yeah. But I mean, it very well could be that there's no water and it was just sand.
Yes. Or did the fold, because like when they show, well, now we're getting ahead of ourselves sort of, but when they showed like the flashback, it was like a forest.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
So when the fold happened, did that change everything into a desert? Like, did that change the landscape?
I honestly, yeah, it might have been one of those vague things where she just didn't even mention it, or maybe I just assumed it, because although I kind of liked the whole sand thing, because I mean, people didn't necessarily have to go in boats, and I mean, now another thing is she had that whole train and the conductor thing. They couldn't really do that if it was water. So, I mean, it could be another thing.
But I don't, is the conductor in Shadow and Bone originally?
No. That whole thing with the guys from Six of Crows where they're trying to get over a different way.
Yeah.
was not anything that happened in the books,
Okay.
which is why I thought maybe that was something she changed. I
Could
mean,
be.
I don't know that for certain,
Well, I
but
guess I always just figured like ship and like they went overboard, like that they were
yes.
gone, they drowned. Like it never occurred to me that they were just like in the sand.
Yeah, but most of the time if they went overboard, it was because one of those things grabbed them.
Yeah.
What are they called? Because I want to call them the wyvern, and I know that's wrong because that's from a different book.
I don't know. Let's see if it's in my map. I don't know if they ever named did they
Creepy,
name
weird things. Like,
well, why is this map not helping me at all right now?
you know what? Because there are so many maps, but this one, Shadow and Bone, only took place in a small area.
Right.
So there are
See if it
more.
was listed in the front. No, that's just the fabricators and the healers.
And I mean, I know I'm going to mess up some of these details. So when people watch this, like, please,
don't judge us.
yeah, don't judge me too terribly because, like, Megan and I have to read a lot of books. So
I have like a giant stack sitting right here looking at me.
from July, even is just like the fact that we remember stuff about this book just speaks to how much we like these books, honestly.
Yeah.
But
it doesn't say on the book sleeve. I thought maybe it would say on the like jacket sleeve, but it doesn't.
And now, and that maybe that's why I thought that it was water, because I always imagined Ketterdam, where the Six Crows people are. I always imagine that as an island for some reason. Like, do you see that in your map? Like, it's.
I don't even see either of those places. I don't know what's happening in this map.
But see, there are, and that's another thing. There are like, and that might have been a reason why I thought it was water too, because they do call the sea, they call it the actual sea instead of just the sea.
Yeah, well, on the
it's
map,
actual water, not like fold.
I think this
water
might be the full. They call in this map it's called the unsea, and then they have the true sea.
Oh, okay.
But
that's what it was, the true sea, not the actual sea.
Yeah, the true. It's only because I'm looking at it, I wouldn't remember. But that it has Os Carvo, Novo.
I have the one that you're on now.
Yeah.
Do.
But they don't. But you'd think they'd call it the fold on the map if that was the fold.
No, that's it, because in mine there are nasty.
There's like sea creatures, like look like sea creatures to me, like in the drawing, right? But they're in the air, and if you look at the true sea, it's like a dragon with a like water coming out. They're
creepy.
So maybe that's like the difference.
So yeah, I don't know.
I don't either.
You might never know unless we ask someone. But
Lee Bardugo, anytime you want to chat.
Yeah, right. Seriously, I have all sorts of things to ask you.
So how excited were you for Ben Barnes?
You know, okay. I did not know who he was until this came.
You've never watched Narnia?
I have, but I mean, I didn't really pay a whole lot of attention at the time. But he was cute. Now, okay. While I was and here we'll just go into another issue I know you said several times, and my husband watched with me, and he said a couple of times, he said, why on earth is that man going after that little baby? Like, because he thought the age difference was huge.
Yeah.
In the book, I didn't feel like there was a huge age difference until they revealed that he's like 1 billion years old.
Yes.
But
well, and I tried, so I have an IMDb problem. So I got on IMDb trying to find out how old she was just for my own, like, they just didn't match to me. Right. I think she was good and he is amazing because he's Ben Barnes and she did a good job. To me, they just didn't match.
But I think also it was kind of good that they didn't match, because even with like everything that was going on, he is supposed to be so much more. She's like the ingenue, like she's new to the whole Grisha stuff. Right. Like she's new to everything. She's very naive about the world. Like she does a lot of really stupid stuff.
So much.
like, and he's very much, I mean, he's supposed to kind of be like, he's not supposed to be old exactly, but
Like,
he's like the huge guy in the Grishaverse. He's got the most power. He knows the most what to do with it.
the
um,
thing.
yeah, like the dark. I think that was supposed to be like the big thing, was that if anyone could, who could get her to forget about Mal,
Right.
the Darkling, because
Yeah.
he is just everything and a bag of chips kind of thing.
Yes. I agree.
And I'll tell you what, um, tell me if you think the same thing. And I think I read that Lee Bardugo did this in her show on purpose.
Okay.
In the book, I found Mal to be a colossal dick. I didn't like him. I didn't like her with him.
I don't remember like cheering for him, but I don't remember like hating him. Like I feel like I was just like, he's there, but like they were pushing like the Darkling on so much.
Well, one of the first things that happens in the book is they're at camp with the Grisha, and he sleeps with super bitch. What's her name?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I forgot about, yeah.
And she constantly, like, she throws it in Alina's face all the time. Shoot, what's her name?
Yeah, I know which one, the one that threw across the courtyard.
Yeah,
Yeah, I can't think of her name either.
I'll look it up.
Yeah.
But
I also envisioned the school totally different.
I really did too. I don't know what exactly I envisioned, but
yeah,
like, I guess I didn't really envision it as like, it was more like a castle almost, and I envisioned it like as a fortress, like,
mm-hmm.
and not like a building, I
Yeah.
guess, like, but yeah,
I envisioned it kind of
too.
like a compound, like almost like not a Hogwarts castle, because that's not right, but that's the closest. Like I envisioned
Right.
like a compound of like, here's the town and like here's the school where the Grisha
Yes.
like, students are, and it really was more all connected more than I
Yes.
envisioned it.
I agree. I completely agree with that.
And I feel like I really wanted them to make more of a big deal about like the sorting and like their powers, because it wasn't as powerful to me when she denied the black robe.
Yeah.
Because that was like a big deal. Like you don't deny him his, like you have to wear his color because he's picked you.
Yes. Yes. That was, I think, because they threw in the Six of Crows gang and their whole storyline, it almost could have been double, like double the length, especially because you're introducing so much new stuff.
Yeah.
Like nobody knows anything about the Grisha. Like,
yes.
I honestly think that if I had just watched it, I had to explain a lot of things to my husband.
It was and I read the first book and I was confused.
Right. I would have been insanely, and I was kind of trying to, not knowing what I was going into, I was trying to like I was so focused on, okay, how is this, like, where's the book yes. at? You know what I mean? Yes. So it was confusing to me a little bit because of that.
Yeah, because like I said, I got into episode 1 and I was like, who's Kaz and Jasper? And like, what that, like, who are, like, I don't understand. And then everyone's like, oh, they're from Six of Crows. And I was like, well, I haven't read Six of Crows, so I don't know these people at all. Like, and I get trying to get as much in while the, like, strike while the iron's hot kind of idea. But it was also,
honestly, you were given, because nothing happened that was in the books, you didn't miss anything.
That's
like
true.
So true. But I mean, they did kind of just throw you into where they were at. Like, I kind of knew that they were in, because the worlds are on the two sides of the fold are so completely different.
Yeah.
Like one side kind of is anarchy, and honestly, in Six of Crows, the books, like, I don't remember there being, I mean, and there could have been, but there was a whole side story that there was like another general and they were fighting kind of against each other because they wanted across the fold because they wanted to put the two kingdoms back together. Like I didn't know much about that.
Yeah, they hinted about it in the show.
There were so many Grisha in that castle / compound that I feel like in the book, I said this to a couple of people. I said, here's what you need to know about these books. Don't fall in love with anybody because they will die.
Oh gosh. Oh gosh. I mean, I feel like that's true of a lot of fantasy books. Like, right. Don't fall in love with anybody because they might die.
And there were a lot of Grisha that we did not, that she was like friends with or not friends with.
Yeah.
Like she had like, it was almost, you know, like the teenage drama, like Mean Girls. And then there were her little band of friends. And like some of those, her friends like died right in the first series, but we didn't care that much. Yeah. Because we weren't really introduced to them very much because there just wasn't time.
Yeah. When I felt like they're like the battle when she's on the boat or ship or whatever you want to call it, the thing, like there was more people that she was trying to protect than like just Mal.
Yes.
And that I thought.
And you were like, what?
Yeah. Well, and you know, it's also like because I have a Disney brain, all I hear when I read Mal, all I see now is Dove Cameron from Descendants. So it's like that. So messed up in my head because like I'm reading especially when I was reading it, I didn't have the much problem with the show, and I know this was out long before Descendants was, but like when I was reading it, every time they'd say Mal, I would see Dove Cameron with purple hair. And I was like, no, wrong universe.
I was lucky in that I read these before my daughter got real into those, but now, yeah, anybody says Mal, I automatically think purple hair, like badass bitch, like, and then I'm like, oh wait, other Mal.
Other Mal. The Mal that we can't really decide how we feel about.
Well, and that was, I'm fairly certain that Leigh Bardugo changed things like him sleeping with the Grisha right off and him being super nice to her in the camp, because in the book, he just kind of was like, yeah, we're real good friends, or it was more like we were really good friends back in the day. Like we were real close. Yeah. And she's very into him. And he's like, hi, you cute little thing, like patch on the head. Like, I'm going to go sleep with this girl and hey, here are my boys and woohoo, we're going out drinking and stuff. And
I feel like he didn't go after the stag because of her in the book. Like he went because he was told to go. Did I get that impression in the book? Like in the movie?
He didn't go because he wanted to see her, I don't think. No. But he went because it was like because he's like, it was a challenge because, and they don't really bring that up too much in the show either, is that like, he is a superhuman, like tracking machine. Right. Like he's the best tracker they have and nobody really knows why or understands it. Yeah. But they do have the whole, like, in the book, she escapes on her own after she hears from his mom, who we find out later is his mom. What's her name? Freaky lady.
The teacher lady.
Yes. Yeah. And she is escaping and she finds Mal for the first time in the woods. Yeah. And up until then, they've had no contact. Correct. Like she writes to him and she never hears back. And I mean, we do find out that he has written to her and hasn't heard back. And and that made him like, I should check on her. Like, yeah. And that's kind of when they grow close. And I think that's why I was kind of like, sure, honey, go for the Darkling. He's cool. Mal's never given you the time of day. Right. Whereas in the series, I think Leigh Bardugo did that on purpose. She was like, I realized that I didn't make Mal a very likable character.
No, he really,
like he was a douchebag to her.
Yeah. It's kind of like, oh, I'm here, but I'm like tough guy soldier. Like,
yes,
I don't really care. Like go be with the Darkling, like you do you, sister. Like,
Right.
and then he's like, oh, like I can go find this stag and like be the hero. And it wasn't necessarily about saving her.
But in the same respect, like in the show, they tried to make it so much more of a big deal that her friend, I really should have learned everyone's names. Red-haired girl, Jenya. I think her name's Jenya.
Yeah, that sounds right.
They didn't make as big a deal of the fact that like they're best friends, and she totally kind of like goes against her. And I didn't feel like in the show it was as big of a deal as it should have been. And I mean,
the one that does the queen's face.
Yes. The tailor.
Yes. Yeah. I don't remember how that went in the book.
And the tailor is like madly in love with the fabricator that has to put the stag's horn on around her neck.
I hated that whole situation in the show.
I gotta say, that was way creepier than I pictured. I pictured it sitting on her.
Yes.
And when they were coming out of her, I was like, oh my God, that's like the worst thing ever. Like
I was picturing it too, like a necklace or like a collar, not like.
I mean, I knew it was like because they do have to hide it a lot later. Like she has to constantly wear scarves, but
like I just didn't envision it as like
it's so obtrusive and nasty. Yes. Like I wonder if it hurts all the time.
People can agree to disagree, and I'm not shading any makeup artist because they have a hell of a job in those shows. But I felt like it just didn't, like the makeup around it just did not look like it belonged.
I agreed. It did look, maybe it was supposed to look weird, but it looked really bizarre.
Yes.
Like,
and I'm sure the makeup artist did everything that they were told exactly how to do it, and they did it exactly as they were told to do it.
I think I would have been happier if it had just been like a big obtrusive thing around her neck. Like it was way too creepy.
It looked like, and I guess it's supposed to look kind of ragged and rough, but like, it was not what I pictured. And when it was happening, I was like, no.
Like, I mean, it was embedded in her, but I pictured it more like, I pictured it as being really annoying because it was huge and like all the bones were still like kind of.
Yeah, I don't think I realized that it was embedded until I watched, like I knew like it was attached, but I didn't realize it was like, let me replace your collarbone with this like antler.
Okay, I'm seriously not even realizing until you said that's what happened. And now that I'm thinking, and now I'm even grosser outer, like, oh my God.
Because that's where it sits. It sits like right here, like right on her collarbone.
That is so freaking scary, nasty. Like,
I'm
sorry, Alina. Like, I know I feel bad a lot of the time because Alina's just not that interesting a character for me personally. Jenya is her name. I'm like looking it up to make sure I'm right. I like Jenya more as a character, and she continues to be a big part of the books and the show, I would assume. Like, I think she is more almost like layered. Mm-hmm. I feel like Alina is just not nuanced enough, maybe. Like, she's just, and she grows in her powers, but I don't feel like she grows very much in her
self.
Yeah, like in her personality. Like she's
kind of very two-dimensional. She's just like.
Thank you. Yes. And I'm not sure how you change that. I mean, I think the fact that that the show tried to make their relationship better and more important, like, was a big start.
Right.
But again, I think it might have just been in the pacing. Like, we just didn't get to know her enough. to
I
care
agree with that.
about her
Yeah.
for the things that she's going through.
Right.
Yeah, there are a lot. Zoya is the bitch, by the way.
Yeah.
Like who he sleeps with.
Yeah.
Like I'm looking at
and Zoya is the one that like throws her in the rehearsal in the
yes.
yes.
Yeah, Zoya has a big old issue with her because she was kind of like the Darkling's pet for a while, which I think the show is doing up bigger than the book really did. Like the show was almost like, which is good because I kind of just didn't like Zoya because she was a mean girl in the books, but now like there's an actual reason to like, you know what I mean? Like she's a mean girl for a reason because she's following the wrong dude.
When and she's like kind of being played by him. Like,
yes.
So it's
well, and he plays just about everybody. I mean, and there are so many characters.
Somewhere I saw that the kiss in the like war room was like not scripted.
Really?
Yeah, and I was like,
well,
they just
kind of. I remember some kisses in the books, but like that was like I was like, oh, holy crap! If people don't throw water on them, they're having sex on that table right now.
Right,
like,
and I could be inaccurate. Like you believe half of what you see online, but
right.
like. But somebody said it wasn't scripted and that Ben Barnes just was like, I'm doing it.
Like, he did a really great job.
And that's why like her face is like her reaction is like genuine, that she's like, what just happened? Like, which I feel like that's like half of the trick of doing something like that plays well, is when like the other actor, you throw them off just enough that you get a genuine reaction. Instead of like, we've done this scene 65 times. Like,
yes. So I guess my biggest problem with the series in general, and what I love the most about when they do mini series and like series like this about books, because I feel like they have to. Feel like any of the movies that try to do a book don't do it justice because they have to pack too much into 2 hours. But again, let me see how I want to say this. With as little as happens, with as dry as the second book is. Yeah, everyone has a hard time getting through the second book. I mean, it's a lot of important stuff, but it's just very dry. And then the third book has like this insane punch with a lot of stuff that happens.
Yeah.
So I feel like it would have been better to take it a little slower with this first book, especially now, I mean, especially with Six of Crows added in, like those characters added in. Right. Now, Six of Crows, the first book, has tons that happen. So maybe they'll
like bring Six of Crows book 1 in with book 2 in season 2. Like they'll be running parallel to each other.
That was my assumption based on, and honestly, I did not like, I loved Six of Crows, the book. It's like one of my favorite duology, like it's one of my favorite things I've ever read. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And I felt like this show wasn't doing it justice, and I was getting really angry. But at the very end, when I saw the way they ended everything, they left it off at a perfect time for the start of the first book.
Yeah.
Because like I said, like Nina's trying to break him out of jail. They're getting ready to do this big old heist.
Right.
And the stuff that they did in this first series wasn't heist worthy for them, I guess. I mean, they did some cool stuff, but like in the books, they're doing some Mission Impossible level shit. Like, because
getting the plan, getting the plans for the palace was kind of Mission Impossible level.
Yeah, but I mean,
even like, more.
Oh wow. Yeah,
I could watch Kaz and Jasper and her, and I never remember her name.
Okay,
I just love Jasper, and Kaz like so much.
I don't know why more people weren't talking about Jasper. He's like freaking amazing.
He's like
I
the
love him so
Magnus
much.
Bane of that series to me.
Yes,
Like,
yes,
he's such a Magnus Bane character that like he's the character that like no one
yes,
expects you to
exactly.
love,
That's
but
exactly what I was thinking.
everybody loves. Yeah.
Because Kaz can't be that because
No.
he has to be this like he has to wear. I'll tell you another thing. I don't think they played up the gloves enough. He has to wear gloves. You'll notice he
Oh yeah,
doesn't
he
touch
always had
anything
on
with his
gloves.
hands.
Yeah, he always
He
had on gloves.
cannot. And they talk about that a lot in the book series.
Okay.
And um there you want to talk layers. Six of Crows, all the characters are insanely layered. Like it's like this, they've had stuff in their past, they're trying to work for stuff that they want in the future, and then that stuff changes, and they're trying to be bad guys, but they really have good hearts. And
Yeah.
one of the episodes, I was so excited because one of the episodes of the show was called No Mourners,
Mm-hmm.
I think. Of all the tattoos in the book universe, No Mourners, No Funerals is the most tattooed thing I've seen on Book Nerds, because that's like their huge mantra. They're always saying no mourners, no funerals. Like that's like them. And I was bummed that I didn't see that in this one. So I really hope they like, because as is like he's good looking, but in this really like not traditionally good looking
Correct.
way.
I would
like
agree.
not at all like in a Ben Barnes kind of way.
No,
It's
they
like
are
in
an
a
opposite spectrum, but like still on the
like
same spectrum.
in a grizzled, like I've lived this entire like totally harsh life, and I walk with my badass cane.
Right.
Like I operate in the underworld. And
yeah. I'm a little bit Malfoy. I'm a little like
yes, yes. Very much.
I clearly have a fandom problem. If we didn't already all know this.
I'm picking apart this series, by the way, but I loved it. And I mean, I will watch it like 3 more times. But I mean, I feel like that's where not only did they take out some of the stuff that they took out some of the stuff that made the characters rich.
Yes.
I wouldn't have minded plot stuff being dropped, but I feel like this is a hugely character driven series.
Yeah.
So the fact that we at the end of the series don't have huge like fanfics already, I guess, like
yeah, no, that's true,
because there are so many characters and there was so little time able to be given. It's like you couldn't really find your ship, like
well, no, like you really could. And like
I mean, well, Ben got a lot of time, like the Darkling got a lot of time, and then you find out he's like terrible, and you're like, well, shit, now I gotta start all over.
yeah, like I would have shipped him with anybody.
Right.
But then you're like, oh, but you're kind of a broken,
yeah, and I kind of feel like, and I don't know why I feel like this. I'm not sure if it's true or not, but I feel like in the books, I kept thinking she was going to change him and make him be a good guy.
Yeah, I agree.
And I don't feel like in the show there's any room for that.
No, not in the show. Like
so
I feel like the flashbacks.
Confused.
Yeah,
because till the end, I was like, oh, she could still end up with the Darkling.
Until the flashbacks, I think you could have said, yes, like she can change him and like make him not psycho and like kind of be each other's yin and yang. And then when you see the flashbacks, you realize like he can't go back.
Yeah.
Those for me were like those moments of those flashbacks were some of the most powerful parts of the show for me, because you sit there and you're like, the woman that he clearly loved,
yes,
and was like trying to protect, she was trying to protect him, and like that was his like there's point of no return now. Like I can't be this version of me anymore.
Yeah, and when he creates the fold, that's like hugely dramatic, and insanely like, that's just awful.
Yeah.
So, and it's good that they did that, because when he extends the fold, when he's on the ship, I don't really, you don't feel that as much as you
No.
did in the book. Because in the book, you're like children are like being snatched up and like turning into the monsters, and like mothers are wailing at, like, it's like, you're like, oh, and Zoya's family's dead, and I don't even like that bitch. Like,
Right. Yeah, it was one. I feel like it was like in the show when he extends it, it's like it felt natural. Like it wasn't as
yes,
like
it felt like it was just like, oh, look, I'm making it a little bigger. It didn't feel like, holy shit, you've just destroyed like another town and another like 100 people.
Yeah, I mean they say it, but
Right.
it doesn't. It just felt like it almost felt like a natural response to like a temper tantrum.
That's good. I like that a lot.
That he was like, I'm mad at you, man.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, with the special effects and the cool stuff that they've already done, like they could have really milked that shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just it almost felt like, oh well, look, those people are like, oh look, now it's bigger. That sucks. I guess now my biggest fear, that it takes way too long for them to come out with the next one, because I feel like I've waited like 4 years for this to come out.
It's been a minute. It has been.
And I mean, it did not disappoint, but holy shit, I feel like I've been waiting forever.
Yeah.
So I like want the next one out like tomorrow.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously not. I will be patient, sort of, but but I really hope they don't. I just remember like it was really hard to get through it. And since this show has come out and people we know have been reading it, I've heard the same thing. They're like, oh my gosh, the second book. I was like, I don't know, skim it.
Right.
Because you got to read the third book, because the third book's amazing.
Right. You just gotta, it's always that sophomore slump. Like,
yes,
you get stuck in that, like, they're trying to build more. And
and I mean, it's not like, it's not spoiling it to say that at the end we end and Mal and Alina are together now, and they are in hiding.
Yes.
And in the books, that's important, I get, because I mean, up till now, you're kind of like, oh, do they even like each other? True. But in this next book, they spend an awful lot of time with them kind of playing house, like on the lam, trying to be normal people in hiding.
Does it feel like the first half of Deathly Hallows, where I just wanted them to get out of the freaking woods?
Yes. And instead they're like putzing around and you're like, what the hell? Go do the thing. Like, exactly. Like that.
That's how I felt in the first like half of Deathly Hallows. I was like, just get out of the woods.
So I'm really hoping that we see more plotting and heisty crap. Like, I mean, crap in a good way.
Right.
As opposed to the, oh, look, we love each other. And this would be a perfect, like, this is our idyllic world. It would be so awesome if we could just fall off the earth and not be the light bringer and the tracker. Super tracker dude.
Yeah.
He should have a better name. Like Tracker Extraordinaire.
Tracker Extraordinaire. I'm excited. I'm torn on reading the books now. I kind of almost am like, okay, eventually I feel like I will finish the series of books, but I am also like, maybe I should just stick with the series and not get myself confused.
No, you know what I think you should do? I think you need to read Six of Crows. I really do.
I do need to,
because knowing you will ship it so freaking hard. You will love like the character. And like I said, there's 6 of them. And you don't care about anybody but these 6 people.
Right.
And I mean, like, Martha would hate it because there's so much sexual tension. Like, well, and I mean, there's no sex because I mean, it's a young adult book.
Right.
But there's so much teenage angst. Like,
oh, I love.
Oh my God. Like,
it's my favorite angst.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like, this person likes this person, but they can't be with this person because of the shit and the layers that are peeling off, and you don't even know why this person is like this. And let me just say, in Six of Crows, I had no idea that Jesper was bi. They really brought that out right at the beginning of this show, because
and I'm
it's like
telling
a
you,
complete woo.
I'm telling you, someone sat down and was like, we need a Magnus Bane. Here's our dude. Like, if you'd asked people when like the Mortal Instrument series and stuff were out, people liked Magnus, people liked Alec, but like now, like especially, and like people have a lot of different feelings about the Shadowhunters show, but like Harry Scrum Jr. is the only Magnus ever in my life.
Oh yeah, no.
And like you
when
love
I see him, I'm like, how
did
I picture Magnus any differently? Honestly.
I know I can't unsee it.
But it's very, I mean, it's very much like that, because Magnus is in all these books for a long time.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh, he's cool. Like, and then all of a sudden, Magnus is like, look out, bitches.
Yeah, he's like,
I'm here and I'm going to be here now. And you're like, oh, holy shit, I am so here for that. And that's exactly what Jesper does. Like, he's just kind of like this, like, he gambles a ton, like, and he's always in trouble, but he's amazing, like with a gun. And look at me. Oh, ho, ho, ho. And he's just kind of there. And then all of a sudden he's like there, and you're like, oh, holy shit. Yeah. Hi, Jesper.
Hi. Yeah. I thoroughly enjoyed. He was some of my favorite parts of the show, other than Ben Barnes, because he's Ben Barnes. But I was like, what's he gonna do now? Like, who's he gonna sleep with to get what they need next? like what terrible position is he gonna put himself in to get what they need? Like, he's just,
I mean, honestly, I never would have thought that about him, but I can totally see it.
Yeah.
Like, so it was kind of cool that they did like that. Plus he's like, oh yeah, you have a job to do. Yeah, I do, but this dude's hella fine. So hold up for a second.
He's like, I'll be back.
Gotta get me some. And you're like, oh, Jesper, that's adorable.
Good and I love when like actors just like, and never having read Six of Crows, I just still love like when an actor takes on a character and you just are like, yes, that's who he is. That person is that person perfectly, well, even though I don't have a reference point for him.
I'll tell you what, for casting wise, I mean, Lee Bardugo was the shit with the casting, because I mean, okay, with the exception of the Darkling, I thought would be handsome, but more like Ben Barnes. I have a hard time a little bit with him as a Darkling, because I think he looks like a teddy bear that I just want to squeeze and love. And I'm like, I mean, he did a good job of getting there.
Yeah.
But when you first see him, I wouldn't think like, ooh, dark, and like he was the only one. But like Zoya, Jenya, like everybody, they were like kind of stuck up and bitchy and like.
See, and I could see him as the dark. Now, if you took like what like Narnia version of him, I would say no. But like current age him, like with the scruff and stuff, I was like, yes, Darkling, like give me the black uniform, let's go.
You know what I feel like he needed? I feel like he needed a scar or something.
Scar.
Can't like mess up the pretty. Show that he's rugged and he's been through shit. Like,
can't mess with the pretty.
Yeah, but no, yes, I mean, he's definitely pretty. Yeah. But I mean, yeah, like everybody in this show is going to be a Magnus Bane. It's going to be like, I'm really interested, the few characters they haven't brought in, like, because there are a few that are coming to both sets of books that are pretty important, and I'm interested to see what they do with them.
Yeah.
And I love that a ton of them, they remind you of people, and you're like, where have I seen them before? And you're like, nowhere. I've seen them nowhere. They're all new, which is amazing. I like that. I love that too.
I love when they're like, here's the one person you know, but here's like a whole bunch of people that like you're going to be glad that you know now.
Yes.
Like, yeah.
It's almost like kind of makes them mesh better as a group.
Yeah.
I mean, they are definitely like an ensemble cast.
Yeah.
I mean, you watch a lot of stuff and you're like, okay, well, Same with Harry Potter. I mean, all those kids, like,
Oh yeah, they were not nobody.
right. And
Nobody.
because, well, yeah, I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
But because they were like fresh out of wherever,
Yeah.
they all became enmeshed in like this big group, like the cast of Friends. I mean, I could go on and on with all
Yeah.
these things,
It's
like
true.
with people.
Well, and I think too, when you have, especially when you have a show that's already, or like a series or something like that that's already established, I feel like if you're going to take on a role like that, you just have to make it your own.
Yeah.
And I think that's easier to do, like you're saying, with like when you're not already Anna Kendrick, who I would totally be down for seeing in Wicked. But like, I think it's easier when you're not already established to make something your own, because you don't have that same like.
Well, I'm not watching her thinking, hey, that's Anna Kendrick. You know, that is why this ensemble of Shadow and Bone is amazing. Like, I love them all.
But like that's like impressive though. Like
What?
that people that are that like can carry those characters so well that like they're not
like, where did they find these people?
They show up to call. Like, you just hit the lottery. Like, you just hit the casting lottery. Like, someone looked at you and went, Kaz. And that was all it took.
And do they, how amazing is it that you find somebody that looks exactly like what you're picturing, but also is talented? Because I mean, Inej is amazing and gorgeous and beautiful. She could have been the shittiest actor on the face of the planet, but she's not. She's great. Good too.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Thank goodness. I know, seriously, dude, I could go on and on because Inej is like, holy crap, she's
your girl crush. Inej is your girl crush.
I mean, and as much as I ship like Nina and Matthias, like Nina's my girl, but holy crap, like Inej, whoa.
I mean, I would put on a black cloak for Ben Barnes. Anytime.
You would have worn the black stitching.
I would have been like, give it here. You would
have been like, yeah, I'm there. It's all right.
I'm like, what do we need to, how much sun do I need to summon for this
Good
moment?
to know, Megan. You're like, scruples? What scruples? Holy shit, screw that.
I mean, it's
Ben Barnes.
It's Ben Barnes. As our dear friend Carolina, for like the whole week the show came out, just sent me Ben Barnes TikToks. Because it's like, you know, we've all probably, if you're on TikTok, you've heard the sound where it's like, I watch it for the plot, and then it's like the plot and it just flashes whatever actor it is.
You're like, little drool.
Yeah, I'm like,
right there.
Hey. Yeah, she sent me some good ones over that first week of all of it. But I think overall, I think we both would say that the series was good.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
There are so many ways you could have fucked that series up royally.
Yeah.
And the fact that it was still, I was nervous because I mean, holy crap, dude, that's hard. Like, fantasy is hard to do. I mean, there are so many fantasy series that I've watched, and then they're like, oh, we're bringing it to the screen. And I'm like, okay, this is going to be awesome. And then it's like completely gutted and awful. Like,
I would say I would give it a solid like 4.25 stars.
Oh, are we doing out of 5?
Yeah. The series.
I think I'm right with you. Like 4.25 is good. Yeah.
Okay. I support it.
I agree.
My biggest thing was I just felt like Alina and the Darkling just didn't match to me. And that's just a personal problem. That's not their fault. She was great. I liked her as Alina and I liked him as the Darkling. I just didn't see them together gelling the way I thought they might.
Yeah, I agree with you. I was not shipping. I was not into them like I was in the book.
Yes.
But I think you don't want them. I think you're not supposed to, honestly.
I would agree with that.
You're supposed to want her with Mal. Yeah. So if you don't, like, that's a problem because guess what, dude? You're supposed to want her with Mal.
Yeah. I agree.
Spoilers.
Spoilers.
Mal's the love interest, people, if you haven't figured that out already.
Yeah. That's very true. Very good. Oh my gosh, we talked for an hour. We're so.
Nice.
This is why Keith and I have to have our own separate side calls because
Yes, because we would have driven Martha and Vonnie crazy.
that's the fun of having a YouTube channel. We get to do things like this where the two of us can just talk about one book.
Yes, and that way anybody who is really into the series can watch, and if you're not, you can be like, okay, yeah, that does not interest me at all. And
Exactly.
we're totally not offended by that. That's cool.
Oh. I know. We'll hopefully we'll get more going. We'll get like
Yes,
people doing a couple.
and by all means, like if you're thinking about something that we didn't say, like bring it up in the tribe on the Facebook page,
Yes.
comment on the
comment
YouTube
below
video,
on this video,
like because we want to know too, like because these are our thoughts. But hey, if you've like read all the books way more recently than me, like yeah, tell me.
Yeah,
because I'm sure I messed up somebody's name or like messed something up. So
it's hard. It's so hard when you read so many series and so many books.
Seriously.
So, yeah, we'd love to hear what other people think. So comment, Facebook us, whatever way you want.
Yep. We're around.
We're here. And TikTok.
I have nothing else to do but read all your comments and respond to them.
Yes.
Because that's how much I like this series. I just want to talk about it
all the time. All right. Very good. Make sure you visit 3bookgirls.com. All the things. You're obviously on our YouTube probably right now.
Yep. Listen to the podcast. Hopefully you're still doing that too.
Yeah. Gets loaded on Sunday nights, so you can listen on your way to work on Monday to start your week off right.
Woot.
Woot. All right. We'll see you all later. Thanks for coming.